Okay, we're live.
All right. Hi.
Hello, hello. Um, Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live with Leo at 5. I have a super special guest here today. I so adore her. Her energy is just super amazing every time I talk to her and see her on Facebook and Instagram. I'm just so inspired. So I'm super excited to introduce you all to her. Um, and so let me go through uh, what she does here. Her name is Lauren Nelson, and she is a graduate of Tamal Dodge Yoga School with continuing education in functional anatomy. And she also studies yoga philosophy and meditation. Originally, she was from Colorado, born into an adventurous and healthy nut family. And she's always been a nature enthusiast, and she strives to be a peaceful being both in her actions and her thoughts. Her passion lays in mind-body connection, the breath, and the holistic lifestyle, and living in harmony with the natural world. When she's not teaching or practicing yoga, she can be found tending to her garden, hiking with her dogs, and reading and writing about wellness, philosophy, creating unique and healthy vegetarian recipes, clearing out her mind in meditation. So, welcome, Lauren. So happy to have you on today. Um, what you do is so essential to all of our lives now more than ever, with all the stresses that we have, and we're so careful about staying healthy and all that kind of stuff. And what you do is really the foundation of that.
Thank you so much, Leo. And it is just an honor and a pleasure to be here with you and being able to share what I think is a worthwhile message with your community. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And so, um, a little bit about you, other than what I've read so far, which is super interesting. I always want know more about how all those things happen with my guests. But tell us a little bit about you growing up. You were born in Colorado, is that correct?
I was actually born in Cheyenne, Wyoming, beautiful grasslands of Cheyenne, Wyoming. And apparently my parents didn't think it was all that beautiful. So they migrated south to Denver just a couple of months after I was born. And so almost native to Colorado, but was raised there. And one thing I can say for certain about the environment in Colorado is it is very granola in a good way, a very positive way, very hippy dippy. People are very free spirited. They express themselves through art and through physical practices. It's a very athletic state, as you know. And so I was raised as a sort of athlete in my own right, ran marathons and cycled through the mountains all growing up. Had a really wonderful upbringing by two very hippie parents, very free love kind of thing. Lots and lots of peace and love and just a wonderful, warm household. So very grateful for my start in life there.
I'm always so fascinated by people who have come from other states, especially those states such as Colorado, Wyoming, and things like that. They seem so foreign to me because I've grown up here my entire life, almost in California, and all that I know is this beautiful weather that we have, and I'm almost like, you know, uh, not sure what living outside of the state, looks like or feel like with seasons and all that stuff, because all year round I can do everything and anything I want to do. I have no concept, of the seasons and everything, but I love it. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. I just never lived somewhere else where things were different. So I do know several people who had lived in Colorado, and they also seem to me very granola. But I'm not sure granola for me sits exactly the right way, because I think of them as like, hey, granola means people of the earth and like really, rooted in nature and really active and being one with nature and stuff like that. So I always seem to connect really well, with people that, are quote unquote granola, if you would.
Labels never do us any justice, that's for sure. They're just containers, right? So let's forego the label for now. But I am a practicing nature guru, if you will. I spend so much of my time, especially right now in quarantine, with my hands in the soil. I'm fascinated with ecosystems and microbiology and planting fruits and vegetables to feed my family. So that's what I've been doing with all my spare time here in Laguna Beach. And like you say, I'm really grateful every single day we wake up with the sun and we have this beautiful weather almost year round where, I mean, any day I want to go outside and run, I can. Whereas growing up in Colorado, there are days where you're snowed in and you might be trekking through the snow to get your exercise. And that's adventurous and fun too, but we really haven't made out here in sunny California.
Yeah. So just to give some context from Colorado, how did you decide, what was the circumstance where you became, um, to be here living in Orange County in Laguna, and how did that kind of come about?
Well, I've always been a free spirit. I have lived my life unknowingly and now knowingly by the law of nature and what you might call Dhamma in some philosophies, or the Tao. I like to allow for opportunities to arise, and when they resonate here, I follow that. I follow the dream that seems to be abundant and more than just the way of money, which of course money is wonderful because it can help us in life, but it's just a tool. So somehow inherently, I've always known these things, and that's made me just a little bit different from my peers in some ways. And so I've traveled all over the United States as a result of that. I ended up in California because somewhere in my mid 20s, I got a job in a marketing company. And the opportunity was to tour the coast here in California and hit all the sororities. And I was pitching to them tanning products, which is so like against what I really believe in. But I thought, you know what, I'll do it because I want the experience. And I'm so grateful. I took the job. I toured the coast of California, and hitting Dana Point and Laguna Beach, I knew that that was where I wanted to reside. So I ended up moving out here with a boyfriend at the time who got a job as a producer with Oakley. And so we settled in Laguna. And I mean, the rest is history. This has become home. I quit my job when I realized that marketing didn't serve being in a relationship, traveling all the time the way that I was. And I knew that I wanted to do something more in alignment with my heart. And so at the time, I was taking these classes by who ended up being my guru. And she would never want that label, but I'm going to say it. Seisha O'Connor is a yoga instructor who worked out of Laguna Beach, as well as Laguna Niguel. And I remember taking her class for the first time, and I was just so blown away by her spirit, to the point where that class has never left me. It was a pivotal point in my life. And I knew from that point forward that I was going to be a yoga instructor. And she ended up happening to have a certification course that she was teaching that same summer. So I signed up as quickly as I could. I took a job at Whole Foods working in the whole body department. So it was this perfect combination of like learning herbs and Ayurveda, and then experiencing yoga on a new level. And from that point forward, and that was 6 years ago, I've never turned back. And it's become my life's mission to share what yoga can do for us.
Wow, I have this picture in my mind that would be the perfect job for me too, like working at Whole Foods, all this wonderful food, and if anybody knows the Laguna Beach Whole Foods down there is like the cutest little mom and pop Whole Foods that you could possibly imagine. and all kinds of people coming in from town, from out of town, and they're all looking for certain um, either medicine or any kind of holistic or any kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Um, uh, Things that they could do to help their body holistically, more naturally, as opposed to medicine and stuff like that. And I know I've gone in there so many times just asking for random things that I heard of. I wanted to check it out. I wanted to try it. And we've gotten a lot of advice for the people that work that little department there. So I can just imagine like bumping into you there and asking you for this or that or the other. And then your journey just really coincide with that on the yoga and the nature in Laguna Beach is just second to none. It's internationally known. I mean, the landscape is absolutely unique, one of the top, in the world. So we all know that beauty in combination with our health and mindset, meditation, and body and yoga and that kind of stuff is really a whole well-rounded kind of a life.
Yeah, it certainly has become a breeding ground for the person that I am today, and all the components of, I think, who I always was, like pieces to a puzzle. I've been able to put them together, and I've become the person I've always, truly felt that I was. And I always say this to people. I think that we have to be someone we're not in order, or many someones we're not, in order to realize who we really are. And that sums up my 20s. So.
Well, I know that. So tell us about what's been going on with you. I know you have a lot of. With everybody I've talked to, there's been a shift in how they do things, and how they live, and what they realize that have been brought to light because of the shutdown and because of everything that's going on in our society right now with the pandemic. And what's been going on with you in regards to that? What's coming to the surface for you that you can share with everybody out there?
Yeah. I wouldn't give my opinion on where my stance is in all of this. What I think, I really like what you just said, what has come to the surface. It's actually, those are words that I've been using a lot when talking to my students, because right now what I see is this sort of sloughing. And the perception is that, as individuals, we have things under the surface. We could call it subconscious. We can call it, subtle energy body, things that we contain that work in the background that help manifest our lives, whether we're aware of it or not. And we call this the law of attraction. So on the greater mind of humanity, this happens just as it does within ourselves as individuals. And so what I see happening is there is this surfacing of energy that we're all working to transmute. And to me, that's one of the silver linings to this thing. And I do think it's important for us to always go back to, what are the silver linings? Where's the positivity in all of this, regardless on what our opinions might be or our fears might be. Fear is a really big thing I want to talk about. I see that there's a lot of division in our people. And I think this has always been the case, but right now, maybe more so than ever. And so it's a really wonderful opportunity for us to do the work. And so what this division means is it's stemming from a fear. So one of the things that I've realized in my research over years and years of looking into these things and dealing with fear that I have is that we tend to avert ourselves from people, or battle people, or certain scenarios in our lives because of an underlying fear that we have. And scientists, I think this is so very interesting. Scientists have put their finger on the source spot, and they've been able to point out what they think, as a result of our evolution, is the cause of this divided people, this divided mindset that we have. So what it is essentially is that we have something called, and this is the exact term, the scientific term, um, death anxiety. And I know that death is a sensitive subject right now, so I tread lightly. So I want us to just put COVID aside for a moment, put the quarantine, put the pandemic aside for just a moment. Death anxiety is something that plays out behind our vision, in our subconscious mind, in our more dinosaur reptilian thinking. It stems from, as far back as we know, Paleolithic times, where there's evidence of the first evidence of people battling it out because of cave paintings we found in Africa, where they're spearing each other, depicting battles over resources, animals, and land. And so death anxiety, from an evolutional standpoint, comes from us needing to survive, comes from us needing to protect ourselves when there was forces of nature that very possibly could harm us. Now we live in more hermetically sealed homes. We're more protective. Technology has been a real gift. It's helped us in so many ways to evolve ourselves, and we're much safer now. We are not completely protected from danger, as we know today, and it's quite evident right this minute. But it all boils down to this death anxiety that works in the background of our minds. And the underlying cause of these aversions we have, or the feeling of separation from others, stems from that fear. So it's sort of like a ghost. It's almost like a shadow that sort of follows us around. Not sure what that sound was, but I think it was my Apple Watch telling me the time. I just took it off. Where was I? So essentially, we recognize that there's fear playing in the background of our mind almost 24/7, and it doesn't serve us anymore when we're driving our cars and we're driving down the street and we're getting triggered because of aggression behind the wheel or other little things that happen throughout our day-to-day life. And so we're being asked on that more spiritual level to start bringing that fear to the surface, both individually and on the greater scale of the human mind, in order to transmute it. And so my message for the world and for anybody who's willing to listen is, through my own experience, we can transmute that. And I have techniques that I would love to share with people that have worked wonders for me, so that I can come out of that fear body, that pain body, and work in a more courageous way and show up for the world with unconditional love.
Wow, that's a beautiful, wonderful way of putting it. This exact subject has been really on my mind as well. So I'm really glad you brought it up. And I'll just offer a little bit of my recent thoughts about it. Is that, we still need to survive, and we are wired to survive. If without that, we wouldn't be here, right? And so, but at the same time, we shouldn't be wasting all our energy trying to survive when there isn't a need, because we have evolved where we are safe all the time. So, what I always try to do is I think about, well, I might be reacting to something, but it's not something that I necessarily need to react to, because I'm not in the type of danger that my reptilian mind thinks that I am. And therefore I have choices and make the choices that would be better served for me during this time where we are now, as opposed to 20,000 years ago, where we needed to survive. So as an entrepreneur, we always think, well, I'm afraid of making mistakes. I might lose a lot of money. I might this or that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's those mistakes that helps us evolve, right? And so this pandemic that's come up is really helping us evolve, because it's something that's giving us huge, huge opportunities. So I like to see it more on the positive side for that. And really, I don't. We're not in immediate danger. Of course, we still need to be careful and not be infecting each other. But at the same time, if we're home, we're safe. We're working from home and all that kind of stuff. There's guidance and stuff like that to keep us safe. Then we just need to do everything we can to live a fuller life, to be positive, be with our friends and family, staying at home, and really reconnecting.
Yeah. And so, and if we can transmute our fear, we are operating from a place of calm, and operating from a calm heart and a quiet mind means whether you're an entrepreneur or you're just somebody gardening, you could be retiree, doesn't matter. When you make decisions from that place of calm, the odds of those decisions being more sound, being more beneficial are really great. And so learning techniques that guide us towards that calm centeredness are essential for our livelihood.
So, what are some things, some of the techniques, and maybe some tips that you can give to people about how to actually, do that?
I'm so glad you asked. Oh, this is really where I get excited. Well, I'm a yoga instructor. So yoga, clearly, but yoga is more than a physical practice. And you've heard us say it. If you've ever taken a yoga class, we all reiterate it. Yoga instructors say this isn't just a physical practice. But the truth is, when you first step on your mat, and maybe you've never practiced yoga before, it is a very physical practice for you. That's how we start. There is a process to yoga that takes years. And so having patience is the first step. Patience is key, right? When we understand that through our physical practice, we're going to begin to sensitize our perception, not only of our physicality, but of our mental realm. Through years of practice, we'll begin to learn universal wisdom that we can incorporate into our own lives. And not only that, but on that physical level, we start to feel more and more subtle depths of our being. I'm also a very heavy meditator, and I practice Vipassana meditation. So I'm a student of the Vipassana technique. The Vipassana technique has been handed down 2,500 years directly from the Buddha, and it is protected in its purity. So it hasn't succumbed to any religion. It is just the meditation technique. So what I like about that is it opens it up as a practice to anybody from any walk of life. I practice this meditation daily, and what I've realized is it's taken my physical yoga practice to this whole new level. The Vipassana technique is a body scan. And at first, when you begin doing it, you feel your body in very gross manifestation of sensation. If you sit long enough in meditation, anybody knows it's actually quite uncomfortable. You'll feel pain moving through your body as your body starts to evolve to the posture. And that takes time. Once you start to get past that, you surrender. You learn to utilize those discomforts as a source of concentration. And so next to patience, concentration would be the second key point along this path. We are bombarded with technology, which, as I said, is a gift. But like everything, there's a yin and yang. There's a light and dark force to everything, which is what makes this world go round. So we can't negate one or the other. They are just both together, and that is just it. Technology keeps us from our focus so much of the time because we allow ourselves to be triggered by the text that comes in, or we hear that ding dong sound, like my watch that went off, and I have a notification, and can I possibly wait 5 minutes to see it, or do I have to see it now? we're pulled away from everything that we are bringing our awareness to on such a regular basis that our concentration has become very flighty. So working to pinpoint our concentration is the very basis of all meditations. Vipassana technique just happens to be a body scan. So in the process of pinpointing our awareness, we start to, for instance, maybe you're scanning your shoulder. You feel the pressure of the atmosphere here. You feel the light touch of air. You feel hot or cold or wet or dry, whatever the sensations are that you're just observing, like a scientist would observe without any control or agenda. And then you start to notice after you do this for a while, it takes hours upon hours, probably several hundred hours of meditation. You start to feel vibration. And you almost shake it off because you think that can't possibly be the case. It's almost like miraculous the first time you notice it happen. You almost are just wondering, how could this be? Because how could you have never noticed it before? And as you continue to pinpoint your concentration, you feel your electrons. You will feel your entire body vibrating. And then what dawns on you is, oh yeah, I'm energy. Of course I feel vibration. So you're literally paving neurological pathways into the more subconscious parts of your mind. And that's what we call expanded awareness.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful, explanation and kind of a demonstration of that whole thing. If everybody don't know, I do yoga, practice yoga every single day. I don't do meditation as much, but when I do, I practice the Silva method of meditation. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And that has allowed me to sort of learn to relax from the very top of my head and down, 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 so that I can literally think about a certain parts of my mind. You'd be amazed, right? Like how many muscles are just in your face and in your head that you've tensed up all the time. So that allows me to relax from the top down. And I really love the way you explained everything, because there's a really, really deep um, philosophical, foundational um, uh, theory behind that. And that is that when you do yoga, when you do meditation or any kind of practice like this, you are going on a really, really lifelong journey. And that journey allows you for discovery. And it's almost like you're on a lifelong, you can think of it as like a walking journey around the world. And, every road takes you to different discoveries of things. And literally you're discovering your body and your cells and your different parts of you that you become more aware of. And what you brought up is really perfect, is our reptilian mind wants to survive. And so because it wants to survive, any little things that distracts us, it wants to pay attention to it because that might be danger. And what the meditation and the yoga does is bring you back into control, that those things are not in danger. Unless it is, then of course you're going to direct your mind and body to take care of it so that you are safe. But for the most part, we all are safe, in this world, in our society, the way everything is set up. And so now you have more control to direct your mind to those attentions that serves you best. And so the relaxation allows you to have more focus, have a lot more concentration to your goals. So I love the way kind of you frame that whole thing. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that, because I share those experiences. Maybe my words are a little different, but exactly, what you said. So talk a little bit more about how you would actually release things that maybe you don't want them, or maybe you're not even conscious of them.
Yeah. And to your point, also, having different words for similar experiences, the Buddha says, hold no head above your own. And so we look to others to reflect back to us our own path in a lot of ways. And that's beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. And yes, so bringing it back to concentration, bringing it, full circle to, if we harness that concentration, we have the ability to feel our energy body. And so it's time for us as a humanity to start recognizing ourselves from that fifth dimension. And it does sound a little woo-woo. It can certainly go that route. And that's maybe what we call spiritual ego. And you can definitely go that way with these things. But that's why it's important for us to have these experiences for ourselves. So what I say to people is, don't take my word for it. Be a scientist in your own science experiment and go set out to find out for yourself through these practices. When you begin to anchor in your energy body, especially in either deep yoga posturing, maybe more along the lines of restorative yoga or seated meditation or even shavasana, through body scanning, what we start to notice is these dense, gross physical sensations are paired with a certain vibration and energy. And when we breathe, there's a cycle that happens. Bringing your mind into parts of your body where healing is needed, where you may store something like fear or aversion or anxiety, that's going to show up in organs, in extremities, in head, neck, shoulders, heart. So you bring your mind into that space that needs healing from that fifth dimension perspective, feeling the vibration of what's beneath the gross sensation that's there. You might have a stomach ache. You feel the vibration that's beneath the achiness, that gross dense layer, you go beneath it. And by the process of bringing it into your awareness, this is a phenomenon that scientists talk about and have acknowledged but can't explain. And so science has some limitations. Maybe we'll get there someday. And I'm really hopeful because science is already pointing to the fact that we're made of light and everything in this material world is light fundamentally. So when we bring our awareness into parts of the body that need healing, whether it's a dense, gross perception or a more subtle, energetic experience you're having, you're inhaling what we call prana, which is vital life force. It's this inward movement of life force that circulates into the vibration where you're bringing your mind. You can think of it as like, I like the visualization of like an orb of energy that I'm trying to slowly either transmute or release. And through the process of bringing in energy, you're also pushing out, and that's your exhalation. You inhale life force, you exhale apana. And the eliminatory factor of the exhalation, while your mind is wrapped around the vibration you're experiencing, allows it to dissipate. And you can, in real time, feel this happen. I wear the weight of the world on my shoulders, Leo. I don't know about you, but I hold it all right here. And so all my life, I've had pain in my neck and in my shoulder area. And in yoga, this is very much associated with heart and throat chakra. So these are the chakras that I've had to do a lot of work with to this day. And it's a daily work. It's a daily process. When I breathe out, it's like heat leaves. I feel cool. My shoulders start to relax. Tension falls off my spine, kind of like the meditation you do. And I feel light of body. So it shows up just in the same way that this energy can show up as a negative sort of sensation on the gross level. It can also show up in a positive way once you let it go. And it's all about breath.
Yeah, it's so interesting how you put it. I'm so fascinated with everything that you're saying, because I've experienced some of that stuff too, and I I had worked in technology for a long time. And so I'm used to sitting at a desk for long, long periods of time, for days and days and days. And what I noticed after a while is I carry all my tension here, just like you, because I'm sitting at a desk like this, because I'm stimulated by what I'm interacting with, and the tension comes all through here. And then when things move and my posture isn't so good, then over time that becomes more chronic. And what I learned was that through yoga and meditation and things like that, there's layers and layers and layers of muscles and fibers and all that kind of stuff in my body, because your neck is connected to your head and then to the shoulders, and the shoulders connected to your upper back, and then your arms, your shoulder blades, all that stuff kind of converge right here in the front and as well as in the back. And it's a constant releasing for me on a daily basis as we get deeper and deeper and deeper into the tissues. Every time I shed a layer, there's another layer underneath and another layer underneath, and then the different sides of the body. When one releases, the other one has to release as well to keep a balance. And so it's a constant shedding, and it's just a world of discovery. Like, oh, that's what this part is, and that's how I can rotate this way or that way, and all that kind of stuff. So the movement and the flexibility and the ease of movement has become so fluid. And I would never imagine going back the way I was and being so unconscious of it and not wondering, not sure why I had a headache, not sure why I was so tensed up, or not sure why when I woke up in the morning, my shoulder and I couldn't turn my head. Now all of those things are released, and so we don't have any of those issues anymore. And even if there is, it's very minor. If I'm stressed or something like that, your body can tell you. And I just love what you said, because the phrase that came to mind is Mother Nature, the nature itself is perfect, is is absolutely perfect. There's always a balance, at the very fundamental of everything. It's always perfect. When something is wrong, something else will uh, uh, work to balance it. So if we are not treating the earth a certain way, then nature balances it with other forces that that to counteract those things. And as same with our bodies, same with our interaction with other people. There's always, like you said, the yin and yang of everything, and that there's a balance. So when one is one way, the other one has to counteract it. So with a lot of what's going on with what we have right now, we are counteracting it with the positive as well. So
yeah, absolutely. There's a beautiful balance. I always, in my mind, I think of the yin and yang fish dancing in unison, and if one's out of balance, it would be like chaos. They have to chase each other's tails. I also want to touch a little bit on, oh, by the way, it's a full moon tonight. I wanted to tell you, I didn't know if you were aware. So this is like the perfect conversation for full moon energy, because it's pulling the sphere even more to the surface. It's pulling any of the karma, or what we in the yoga philosophy call samskar. In the more Buddhist term, we would call it the sanskara, to the surface. Again, dealing with energy. If you're containing some kind of, it doesn't really matter what you have working in the background, whatever energy is at the forefront of that is going to come to the surface. So it's said with the full moon that if you are feeling anxious, that's going to rise up and you're going to feel it tenfold. If you're feeling blissed out, that's what rises up and you feel it tenfold. And so going back to what you said about a daily practice, that's why it's so important to maintain a sort of regimen. Regimen can be challenging at first, but what I've found in keeping a regimen of meditation and yoga, both in the morning and in the evening, is that over time, it's evolved to be something that's similar to brushing your teeth. You just couldn't do it. You couldn't go about your day if you didn't brush your teeth. And even more so than that, you start to really enjoy it because you do feel the weight of the world melt off of your shoulders. And when you start to feel that lightness of being, you know there's no turning back. And so it's a very pivotal point for a lot of people when they start implementing these practices and they realize how necessary they are to the very nature of what they want to be moving forward. The karma is the energies we contained, as we had explained before, in the body. The body is just a storage container. I like to call it the mind body because it really is a part of what's up here. It's a storage container for our samskara attachments. And maybe you believe past lives or not. I do. But according to a lot of these philosophies, we accumulate these samskaras, these attachments from past lives, from this life, and also on a daily basis. And so what we do with our practice is we give ourselves an opportunity to shed the daily attachment. And attachments are desires, aversions, there's hindrances. Lethargy is one of them, boredom. Anything you associate with strict egoic identity, those are attachments. Anything that is outside of your true nature, which is that you're an infinite being. So when we give ourselves that opportunity to shed this stuff on a daily basis, we then have the opportunity to go even deeper and get rid of the stuff that maybe is from our childhoods or past lives that's needing to be released in order for us to walk that path. I say it toward enlightenment, the ultimate realization of infinite expanded awareness.
Yeah, that's so amazing. What I love what you said about um, uh, meditation and yoga in the morning and in the evening. And what I've noticed is that, and this really rang true for me. I wish I had learned it when I was younger. But if you go to bed stressed, you wake up stressed. You go to bed um, uh, relaxed, you wake up in the morning relaxed. If you wake, so whatever you go to bed with is what you'll wake up with. One of the things about our just the way we are as human beings is that um, we can have physical wounds and they'll heal just by nature. If you cut your arm and you bleed, it has its defenses of clogging and sealing up the wound and healing and all that stuff, but not necessarily so with emotional wounds. So you can carry those emotional wounds for years and years and maybe your whole life, and they may never heal unless you do something to heal it. And so this active practice of meditation and releasing is exactly what you're talking about. Any kinds of stress or emotional trauma or wounds, those can be released by daily practice, and that's how you can self-heal yourself. And if you don't do that, they can carry on with you for a very, very long time because it's not like a physical wound where it'll automatically heal itself. And of course, that's something that I really want everybody to know because you can't just shove it underneath the carpet and things like that, with those kinds of emotional related things and think that they'll just go away, out of sight, out of mind. And it's not how our bodies, it's not how our minds and our psychological makeup works. And so I think it's very, very important that people have some sort of practice that can allow them to release that, whatever that might mean for them. For some people, it's just talking with friends or family about how they feel, and they're able to release that out of their bodies and minds. Sometimes could be a professional, a psychologist, or it could be a coach. It could be uh, you know anything that allows you to release that, to heal that. Don't just think that like, well, I just need time and it'll go away, because I know, in my life and so many people that I talk to, that's not the case. They carry that, for a very long time until something happens to allow them to be able to remove that from their bodies, their minds.
Yeah, yeah. And we call that karmic cycling, because inevitably what happens is in this university, we will be confronted with what we attract based on the energy we contain in those energetic wound attachments. And trauma doesn't necessarily mean you have to be, a warrior in battle that, has PTSD. It can be something as small as a breakup that went fairly well, but was hard on your heart. So it can be something like that. You carry it. If you don't learn how to confront it, how to transmute it, how to release it, the universe is going to bring it back to you, bring back the lesson, maybe in a little bit of a different context, but same old story, right? And that's, again, your opportunity to learn how to break the cycle. And so we'll go through those cycles over and over and over until we finally are done with them. And sometimes the cycles will come back even then as a sort of test to see if we are indeed done with them, because we can fall back into the habit pattern of the mind. It's quite easy to do that.
Yeah, and if at least if you go through the second time, you have techniques and things that you learned from the first time to be able to move through it. And with practice, maybe it takes 3 times. Who knows, to be able to fully release it and know how to, release it before it becomes a bigger thing through this practice. So I think our theme of the night is really, the practice and bringing things open to the surface and being able to recognize them and then be able to deal with them and release them so that you can be your complete self.
Yeah, yes, exactly. To feel more in harmony with yourself and through osmosis, in harmony with nature. And I think what happens is we step onto this path of healing and we start to appreciate those things more by nature of just being lighter of energy and appreciating that nature is definitely a part of us, and that Dhamma or that Tao or that spirit and that source is what connects us to everything in this universe. And then ultimately, we have an abundance there that is of the infinitely loving kind, feeling connected to all things. It's like a heart explosion, and that's where, at least for me, the turning point is, because suddenly I value that more than anything, more than any money, any fancy car. I like those things, but my path is, how can I align myself with that which is infinite, and everything else that is not, it falls short.
Yeah, so I think that's a really great way to kind of bring this all together. We started talking about how you ended up here in California, and now we have talked about all this about really being present, really being aware of ourselves, and you are at home, here in Laguna Beach. So one of the questions I like to ask a lot of my guests is, what they love about where they live and what makes them feel so present and so connected to the land that they're on. So how is that for you?
Oh my goodness. It's every day I wake up, I step outside and I see the ocean in my front yard and this expansive canyon in my backyard. And I'm just so grateful that this land is thriving and I get to put my hands in the dirt and grow food for my family. And it's just that, it's always, for me, it's the divine creation of nature that is both chaotic and harmonious at the same time. So that's what I enjoy the most about living here in Laguna Beach. There is abundant resource.
Well, I mean, that's really the best of all worlds, you know. You got the mountain and the trail behind you, you got the beaches in front of you, and with our weather and everything, you can grow food all year round, you know. There's always stuff growing, and so that's really very abundant, you know, way of living. So, Lauren, thank you so much for being here and sharing your thought and your being with everybody here um, on Facebook. And we'll be pushing this out to YouTube as well. So there'll be a lot more people who will be able to watch it and rewatch it, because there's a lot, we dug into a lot of really deep stuff. So at some point, I'd like to have you back and maybe we can tackle, you know, just one of those things that get and dive in deeper, you know, with some of those things. So how can, um, so you're a yoga teacher here in Laguna. Do you also practice meditate, or you teach meditation as well? So tell us like what you offer to everybody who wants to join in on any of the journeys that you teach.
Certainly. Yes, I'm a yoga instructor through quarantine. So I'm offering live classes. I have a full schedule and I offer these classes both on my Instagram as well as Zoom. I do have a Facebook. People can find me and the handle is at Lauren Nelson Yoga. And my website, which contains my schedule, the links to Zoom, and you can also message me for the password, is www.laurennelsonyoga.com. I do teach meditation. I don't teach the Vipassana technique. I teach the precursor to that, which is the relaxation technique that you had touched on.
Great. So that's how you can get a hold of Lauren. And if you guys have any question while watching this video, you can put it in the comments and both Lauren and I will be able to see it and hopefully be able to answer. If you want to reach out to Lauren about anything, yoga and meditation and wellness, please do so. I know there's also a lot of gardening enthusiasts out there. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much, Lauren. And as per tradition, we always offer our guests to share one of their favorite quotes. And Lauren, you have one?
I certainly do. A little background on this really briefly. My first 10-day meditation sit, I was on my way to the meditation center and I carpooled with a gentleman who I'd never met before on my way there, who was going to serve the course. And the greatest advice he gave me was this: don't forget to smile at yourself. And so that's my quote today, because through all of everything life serves us, just to remember to give yourself some love, and that will go a long ways.
I think that's so much needed for all of us to as a constant reminder, because self-love is really the foundation of everything. And from there, you can radiate out love to everybody else. So thank you so much for that quote, Lauren. So everybody, thank you for being here and thank you for watching. I am here every day, Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock with a new guest each day. And so I want to thank you guys for joining, and come back and we'll have more guests for you tomorrow and next week. And just real quick, tomorrow I have a special musician, singer, songwriter guest for you. And I think she might be able to share some songs with us. So come on back and join us. But for right now, thank you, Lauren. And thank you for your time, and have a great, wonderful rest of the day.
Gratitude, Leo. Thank you.
Thank you.